Hi, this is Andy Schmuckler, one of hundreds of millions of Americans experiencing this incredible election season. I get very worried about what the outcome might be because it's not clear what the outcome is going to be. And we have more than I think any time in American history a choice here between maintaining our democracy and choosing to abandon it for a fascistic order. I love getting the emails from Simon Rosenberg every day, who his Hopium Chronicles, hope being the opiate of the people, because I really appreciate that he seems very with it and intelligent, and he makes a case for hope that helps me. And I just glanced a few minutes ago at today's. I haven't read it fully, but I saw that he was describing the joyous event that happened in Georgia with Kamala Harris and Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen, and just a whole star-studded thing that was filled to the rafters and joyous. And he says, here's the punchline. This basically this is what a winning campaign looks like, and I appreciate that. He is seeing something, and it is something that if we win, people will look back and say, yeah, that was the joyous force that rallied behind Kamala Harris to save American democracy. But is it a guarantee that does it mean that we're going to win? There are a whole lot of things that are just unknowns that are going on. You would think that maybe under normal circumstances, the campaign that looked like that would imply something about what the whole preponderance of the electorate was about to do. But there are so many disconnects in American politics right now. I mean, you would think that the guy's being a convicted felon and an adjudicated rapist and an adjudicated insurrectionist, and et cetera, and having compromised American national security with classified documents, but you would think that people would kind of hold that against him. So you can make a list of things, and then this is what, when Simon Rosenberg makes me anxious, what he does is he talks about things that you would think would have the implication that people would vote against this guy, and some of the recent ones are having to do with how demented he seems, and how confused, and how physically just and cognitively not up to the task he is, that he's manifesting a complete unsuitability, even apart from his fascistic intentions. I mean, in a sense, it may be good that he's demented, but anyway, you would think that if a guy was out there showing all the things that he was showing, about his exhaustion, about his confusion and his inability to complete a thought, you would think that would, all by itself, would have the result that the American people would say, oh, he can't do that. Give the nuclear codes to the guy that swaying back and forth to the music for 39 minutes, refusing to take the kinds of questions you're supposed to take at a town hall. But it doesn't, it's not clear that these obvious things that obviously should disqualify, I mean, the eyes of anybody with any sense and eyes in their head to see things, but it has not meant that. You would think that his attempt to essentially pollute and break our politics with a big lie rather than admit defeat, like every other presidential loser in our history has, playing by the rules, you would think that that would mean he's not going to come back onto lead the Republican Party. I wasn't worried after that second impeachment. I mean, I wanted him to be officially barred from ever running again. But how could the Republican Party ever nominate a guy like that again after he tried to seize power against the will of the American people and made our politics broken by convincing millions of his followers that the election had been stolen from him, delegitimizing the president, disabling the country. I mean, it's appalling what he's done. I never thought that he could rise again. But we've got strange forces operating. That's why I can't tell whether this joyous thing that happened in Atlanta means anything about the direction of the election or not. You can't tell how anything is going to compute. I mean, people ask the question, how is it possibly so close? What that question means is, how can it be that almost half the American people, after all that has been shown and put right in front of their eyes, are supporting this guy? How can it be that close? A felon, a bully, a one-man crime wave, a liar to a scale that we've never seen. The country that lionized Washington for being so honest that he confessed to chopping down a cherry tree in the phony story. And honest Abe, and here we've got almost half of America following a leader whose relationship to the truth is simply almost beyond comprehension. His lies counted up over 30,000 during his 4-year term in office. Eisenhower was a big deal. His one lie, which he told for good reasons for national security about the U-2 plane. We've got strange forces going on. People have seen everything that anybody should have to see. Or if they haven't seen it, they've somehow failed to see what is just blatantly demonstrated in front of us. When you've got the 3 generals that served with him saying this guy wants to be a fascist dictator, well, maybe that will tilt the election some. Maybe that will have an impact. Maybe the fact that he sways because he's not capable of dealing with a 60 Minutes interview like everybody else has. Maybe that'll have an impact. But this whole era is essentially filled with surprises. The fact that, I mean, I saw this stuff rising. I'll give myself a little credit, but I did not think it was possible that we could be here in 2024. And Trump has apparently, it's a toss-up kind of an election that he might be elected president of the United States after all this. Unthinkable. We don't really, I don't think, understand what the state of play is in America, that we've got almost half of America capable of being exposed to all the destructive drama of Donald Trump for 9 years and be in a place where they're ready to vote for him. How does that happen? Well, as far as I can tell, nobody understands it. I've tried for years. I don't understand it. It's partly my field. But I've been looking for everybody else's explanations too. And I'm not saying people don't have bits and pieces of things. But there are forces operating in our system right now that skew all the usual ways of understanding how causes and effects, what's going to, so you look at the situation and all the bits of information that we've got about ground game and about um, polls, early voting. You look at all the information and then you wonder, what is it that's really going on? Is that joyousness going to mean a massive turnout that makes the election more of a runaway than a cliffhanger? Is that a possibility? The enthusiasm gap, is that still there? Don't understand anybody, as far as I can tell, really what's happening in that part of the American body politic that's prepared to vote for Donald Trump. Something that mysterious is going on, that people's attempts for years now to get what's going on have not succeeded more than they have. Tells us that we're living in a world where we don't see how all the way things are flowing. We don't know whether the testimony of Milley and Mattis and John Kelly, the generals, about the fascist Trump. We don't know if that's going to have an impact on people. We look at that and we say, how can it not? Because that's the world that we've lived in. When I saw, and when most people saw, the Access Hollywood tape, where Donald Trump is acting like the toxic male he is, and demeaning of women, and showing a sense of arrogance and entitlement. I mean, I don't know anybody who would consider what he described doing with women, grabbing them, as something to boast about. The very fact that he thinks that makes him look cool tells you everything you need to know. I assumed he was done. That's it. We're going to have our first woman president, President Hillary Clinton. How can he come back from that in the America that we always knew? But already, there is something going on between the Republican base and Donald Trump that people didn't anticipate, didn't understand, and still don't understand. Already, the Access Hollywood tape was not enough to derail Trump's campaign. Some of the Republicans came out and distanced themselves right away because they too assumed they knew the Republican base, but it turned out the Republican base were sticking with Trump. What had happened there? Why was that so different? What was the force operating between Trump and those people that compelled those Republicans who had distanced themselves to come back and embrace Trump? Because that's where the base was. We've got a mystery here. And while I am optimistic, and I hold on to hope, and I read my Simon Rosenberg every day, I realize that things are afoot in this America of ours. Things that are part of the fascist force rising to such power that there's a chance it may actually destroy American democracy and transform us into the kind of society we always used to condemn and have to fight wars against. I'm hopeful that we're going to win. But even if we do win, I think it's important for us to look into those strange forces that are at work Because if we've got 47% willing to vote for Trump after all this, even if Trump leaves the scene, we've got that 47% to make a nation and go into the future with. And what's happened with them? The things that seemed unimaginable could happen, that Trump could be a demented, fascistic, lying, bullying criminal and get all that support. We're going to need to cure that someday. And it's hard to cure what you don't understand. And we don't understand the strange forces that have been at work between Donald Trump and the Republican base. Thanks. I'm Andy Schmuckler. A better human story is the theme of my work. Well, the thing I have of most value to offer is actually a big picture about the story of the human species and how it should be understood differently from the way we have understood it. That's what my life's work has been about. This connects with it, and I have been making videos which you can subscribe to, support in any way you see fit. But if you want to see the craft that I have a lifetime of experience practicing, which is writing and laying out in a systematic way what I think is a better human story that has important implications and that could help us survive for the long haul rather than destroy ourselves, which is a toss-up, I think, which we'll do. So please go to abetterhumanstory.org and you'll find what you find, and if you will care about seeing what the story of our species is all about, if you do care about that, you'll find something of value.